Hi. I've been so disappointed with the image stabilisation on the Sony that I'm going to test it against the cam that I use in my car. And here it is. It's a Mobius Cam. Now I bought this about 3 years ago and it just sits in my car. Compared to the Sony, look at the form factor on it, right? It is only the height of this bit, whereas the Sony sticks out another, what, 2 inches? Okay, and one of the complaints I've made is that, the form factor isn't just right for what I do. Another thing I wanted to say, I know some of you are thinking, why didn't I just use the mounts that came with the Sony, the stick-on mounts? My bike's got a custom paint job. It's got a custom blue paint job on it. I needed some repairs done recently, and I dropped the bloody thing at 0 miles an hour. And I found 2 cans of the paint I needed in California. The cans were $8 each, and the shipping was $200. So guess what? It got done with it got done with a near colour rather than the actual colour. So this is what I'm going to do. It's a lovely day. You can see from the sunshine behind me. We should get nice clear footage like we did like the last time I took out the Sony. And we'll run it side by side and see what difference the form factor makes. Because I'm going to use exactly the same mount as I used. I'm going to unscrew this bit and stick it on there and use it with the Mobius. And that's it. We'll see what we shall see. I'm quite interested to see how much it vibrates. If you look at my motorcycling and motorbike feed on YouTube, you'll see the very earliest motorbike vids I did were made with the Mobius. I used to swap it between the car and the bike. I've got a waterproof case for it, but there's no real need to use it on a day like this unless you're worried about a stone hitting the lens. And the only case it needs is this little adapter here that slides onto the Mobius Cam to provide. That is it. It's got a centrally placed screw hole for the mount. So that's what we're going to do. Next thing I'm going to do is weigh them. Okay, here's the scales. I'll turn them on. First, the Sony in its waterproof case, because you can't use it without the waterproof case because there's no hole. Okay, 147 grams. Mobius, 50. How about that? It's a third of the weight. So, right. The bike's warmed up. I better just tog up, get the mount changed round, and go for a ride. Right, I've had to bodge it a bit by introducing that white ring right underneath the Mobius there. That's just so the stand has something to grip on. That is actually very secure. It's absolutely fine, I think. So now I'm going to tug up and we'll go for a ride. Okay, what I'm going to do now is show you 3 1-minute clips. This is the Mobius, and we're going to finish all these clips at the Mythe Bridge. This is the Mobius. Look at the vibes. Hardly any. Yeah, and an excellent picture, really. I mean, no complaints about this at all. None whatsoever. And this is undoubtedly a function of its much smaller form factor and its weight. I mean, it just isn't vibing enough as much as the Sony does on exactly the same mount. Already this is increasing my regrets of buying the Sony. Okay, and the next clip I'm going to show you is the Sony. Again, a 1 minute clip ending at the Mythe Bridge. Here it is. The distances are a bit different because I got stuck behind this BMW doing this clip. This is about an hour later and it has got a tiny bit hazier. Can you see that sort of very high, thin cloud haze above? It's about an hour later. I went out and took this. And the vibes are worse, aren't they? I mean, undoubtedly the vibes are worse, which again is form factor and just the fact that the Sony weighs 3 times as much and it's a lot taller than the Mobius. So I don't know what you think, but I'm already regretting that 160 quid. Seriously regretting that 160 quid. Looking at this, look at that. You see, that's the fact that the mounting point is at the rear of the case and not in the middle as well as weight. And lastly, I'm going to show you the 2 clips side by side, and you can compare them. The one with the BMW is the Sony one. The red BMW is the Sony one, and you can see for yourself, really. I mean, in all honesty, making allowances for the brightness and everything, I think the Mobius is better. God, why did I buy the Sony? I think the Mobius is better. The colours are perhaps a bit more realistic on the Sony. But if you look at the white lines, I mean, the Mobius appears to be just as sharp. And just as good. Nah, I made a mistake there. I should never have bought the Sony. If I knew what I know now, look at these vibes. I never would have done it. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We live and learn. What am I going to do now? I'm going to sell the Sony, I think. What I think I'll do is go back to what I was doing last year, which is swapping the Mobius between the car and the bike until the Dasny P2 arrives, which should be any day now, and get the Sony on Flog It in Tewkesbury and things for sale around Tewkesbury. If it doesn't sell there, and it's probably going to be a bit pricey for those particular Facebook boards, I'll flog it on Gumtree, and I'll get the price I want there. But I'm going to take a loss, but I'll get some of the money back, easily enough to cover the cost of the Dasny, which was only 25 quid, plus a bit extra to put towards the cost of to recoup some of the cost of the Sony. So that's it. We live and learn. I can't emphasise enough that these tests were done, for my particular circumstances. As I've said in other movies, I don't like attaching cameras to my helmet because I think it's dangerous. I mean, I can just imagine myself going through a hedge, the helmet, especially a big heavy thing like the Sony, catching a branch, it jerks your head back. One broken neck later, you're regretting buying it or regretting attaching a camera to your helmet. And I'm not prepared to use the sticky mounts because I don't want to spoil the paint job on the bike. So I'm just using mounts. My particular circumstances is I want to mount it on the bike. And my particular bike, of course, hasn't got, you can't do it on handlebars because they're dropped. It's a sports bike, they're too short. If you had a big old, bike with wide bars, there's plenty of room to put it on there. I don't know how it would work out. I'm not really interested. The Sony image stabilisation just wasn't enough to compensate for the vibes in my particular circumstances, using my particular bike and with my particular foibles. Okay, that's it. How to waste 160 quid. Actually, it's not that because I'm going to sell the Sony and get quite a lot of that back. We live and learn, and That's it. That probably really is the last time I'm going to put footage from the Sony up, unless something happens. Okay, so as usual, thanks very much indeed for watching.